Okay, I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, and it was good. I'd give it a B plus, 7 out of 10. Um, Brief history. I saw the very first Spider-Man movie in theaters back in 2002. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Spider-Man 2 in 2004 was even better. I recently rewatched it as an adult, and it still holds up. It's definitely the best Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 3, I feel, gets an unnecessary amount of hate. Um, it's not awful. It's I think it's fine. I like it. It's a very messy movie. It has a lot of problems. They definitely tried squeezing too much in there, but you know what? I still think it's pretty good for what it is. Uh, the Amazing Spider-Man, not so much. I don't really like that movie. And The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it on TV once, and I was just awestruck by that movie in a bad way, because I was just sitting there this is this is just awful. How how could anyone let this happen? That just wow. All those videos, reasons The Amazing Spider-Man 2 sucks, they're true. Everything they say is true. It's ugh. But thankfully, Spider-Man Homecoming is good. We actually have an actor who is high school aged, and finally, Hollywood gets it. All the high schoolers in this movie are high school age actors. They're not all a bunch of people my age or older running around pretending to be they're 16-year-olds. The best people to play 16-year-olds are 16-year-olds. So this is one of the more authentic looking high schools I've seen in a Hollywood film in a while. And Tom Holland is the best all-around Spider-Man we have yet. Because Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker. He was awkward, he was nerdy. You believed that guy was Peter Parker, and he seems like the kind of guy who would get picked on in high school. But Andrew Garfield, I thought, was a better Spider-Man. He fit the spirit of the character better when he was in the suit, but out of the suit, you just couldn't believe him as Peter Parker because Andrew Garfield is just too good looking to play a nerd or a dork or a dweeb. He just looks too what's the word? Conservatively beautiful. He just looks too confident and refined to seem like the kind of guy who would be picked on in high school. And while Tobey Maguire was 25 when he played a 17-year-old Peter, Andrew Garfield was 27, playing someone almost half his age. And but at least when he was in the suit, you believed he was Spider-Man. But Tom Holland is the best of both worlds because, while he's not straight up nerdy, he seems like he could be a shy, awkward, quiet kid in high school. And his friend, his sidekick Ned, reminded me of Ned's Declassified. I loved that show when it was on Nickelodeon. When we were all in high school, we all had that fat, nerdy friend, or at least one friend like that. I could think of multiple people who fit that criteria that I was friends with. But at the same time, as Spider-Man, like, when he's in the suit, he's outgoing, he can make these funny quips, and it seems like it's in character for him. And where this movie really shines is showing Peter Parker balancing having a normal high school life, or trying to have a normal high school life, with the responsibilities of being Spider-Man. I think that is where the movie really excels and really connects with me. The villain in this movie is Vulture, played by Michael Keaton, who seems to love playing winged superhero characters. First Batman, then Birdman, now this. And the character of Vulture has a decent amount of depth to him, and like, you understand everything he's doing. And this movie ties in with the Avengers universe well, because like, the plot of this movie wouldn't exist without events from previous films. Like, if we didn't have that alien technology, like, this movie literally wouldn't exist. And this movie tries to explain a lot of the, like, little things about Spider-Man that people have asked questions about over the years. Like, when he shoots a web, like, do the webs just stay there? Is the city just covered in webs after he's done? And they make a mention like, oh, it dissolves in 2 hours, so that question's answered. And like, what happens if he runs out of things to swing on? There's just a big open field. Well, then I guess he'd just have to run. Just, things like that. And one thing I think the original Spider-Man trilogy got that made more sense was the organic web shooters, because just thinking practically, like, it just makes sense if you're going to get the powers of a spider, like, if you're going to get the super strength and the ability to climb walls and stuff, even though it's not really super strength, like, tiny animals and insects just seem strong because they're the root cubed rule, I think that's what it's called, is much, much smaller when you're on that scale. Like, the reason ants can lift 30 times their body weight is because they're such tiny animals. An elephant could never lift 30 times its body weight because it's so large. But anyways, like, the organic web shooters make sense because if Peter Parker was to have mechanical web shooters, like, how would a high schooler have the ability and resources to invent this compound that is super strong and acts like a big spider web, and make enough of it that he seemingly never runs out, and designs this technology and, like, has the money to do this stuff, and it just seems a little too far-fetched. Like, at least in Spider-Man Homecoming, they at least, again, try to explain that with, like, he's in chemistry class and he's messing around, and he makes something in a beaker that looks like the clear, sticky chemical that could be a spider web. But still, organic web shooters just make much more sense to me. And I like how Happy has a bigger role in this movie. John Farvo. I always remember him as the guy who directed Elf. That's such a nostalgic movie for me. But yeah, there's a twist in this movie, and it's a good twist that I honestly didn't see coming. I don't know if it's in the comics because I never read the comics. And there's a pretty cool climactic sequence, and then after that, it seems like they're gonna have this epic battle, like at the end of the first Spider-Man movie with the Green Goblin. Like they had that brutal fight in like the abandoned island area, and I thought like, oh, they're gonna do something cool with this setup, but they start doing something with it, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And there's a lot of Captain America cameos in this movie in the form of videotapes, and they're really funny. And I guess this is a spoiler. The post-credit scene is another one of those Captain America videos, and basically it talks about like the importance of patience and how sometimes things are disappointing in the end, and it's obviously very self-referential. So like at least Marvel is aware of their like post-credit scenes at this point. And unfortunately, the Marvel music, the generic, sweeping, big action scene Marvel music is the only music that plays throughout this movie, which is unfortunate because at the beginning of the movie, they play that the old Spider-Man theme, like, look out, here comes the Spider-Man in instrumental form, and I'm like, oh, so Spider-Man's actually going to have his own theme. There's going to be a Marvel movie, a modern Marvel movie, where one of the characters actually has their own instrumental score. Yes, finally, but no, that's the only time they ever use it, and they never use it again, and it was disappointing, and they should have done more with it. But this movie was a lot of fun. I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people, and it's a good summer movie, and if you want to see it, go see it. It's worth it. You'll have a lot of fun with it. Yeah,